All right. Well, the World Cup has begun, and as everyone expected, it has been a madness. I know it has been a while since you guys last saw me. In fact, last summer was, I think, when you guys last saw me, and I'm now quite a bit fatter, and I have more hair, and I have more beard, and everything. It's been an interesting year, but I'm back, and I promise I'm actually gonna do more stuff this time. Anyway, the World Cup has begun. We're approaching the end of match day one, and just as everyone expected, it was or has been a madness. Just shit happening from minute 1 to minute 90. Started with Mexico to South Africa nil. I really should have made notes for all these games, but I'm just going off the cuff here. This isn't going to be some super formal thing that I'm doing. I'm going to try to do that more when I get my Barca updates. I'm going to be doing big updates on Barca pretty regularly after the World Cup's done. Maybe if there's any big Barca news during the World Cup, but considering it's the freaking World Cup, and after this we have 3 years and 11 more months to do more Barca stuff until the World Cup is back again. I feel like we should use this opportunity as good. Anyway, Mexico, South Africa, 2-0 Mexico is the final score, and for being as hyped as they were going into the tournament, Bafana, Shabalala, all that jazz, South Africa put on a horrible show. Yaya Sithole, I think, was his name, which is like almost shithole, but whatever. He put on a disaster class, pretty famously now. Themba Zwane came on for 24 minutes before he was also sent off, and then center back Cesar Montes was sent off in the 92nd minute. 3 red cards, still the only red cards that we've seen so far this tournament. We'll see about that in the games going on later today. France, Senegal, Iraq, Norway, Argentina, Algeria. But that was a pretty big disaster class for South Africa, Mexico, with a pretty easy win, all things considered. Then you go to South Korea versus Czechia. That one also was a pretty fun watch. Second half, especially last 30 minutes, Ladislav Kleci put in a bullet header on the 59th minute. Seemingly would get Czechia at least some sort of result in this match. However, late goals, Hwang and Bob, Oyangu turnaround won it for South Korea. And the one big takeaway for me from this match, which I think is what I'm going to try to do for the rest of the matches here, and that might actually end up being the title of this video. The one big takeaway from this match for me was South Korea's attacking football. It was so fun to watch. For me, might be the ones to watch to win this group going forward. They play Mexico on Thursday in the first games of the second match day. First games of match day 2. And that'll be fun. Those games will be great to watch. I can't wait. For now, South Korea's attacking football is really the big takeaway for me after watching that. Like, there's the thing I think that you'll start to see from these games, that there's so many teams that just have really good quality. South Korea is one of these teams. Mexico is on the fringes of being one of these teams. I don't know if they really are one of those teams, considering the level of their opponent that they played. But South Korea is definitely one of those teams that's just really solid. And yeah, it's really great to see teams that aren't your Germanys and your Brazils and your Belgiums just looking amazing. Next up, Canada, Bosnia. Oh my God, there's something. Okay, my bad. There's Canada's my boys, obviously. I don't know if it's very obvious, but anyway, Canada, they are my boys. And watching this game made me potentially the most frustrated man on planet Earth. Jonathan David put on a pretty historic all-time stinker disaster class in terms of Canadian football performances. I was ridiculously upset with how many chances he missed, especially a couple of those in that first half. The big miss, point blank. I think it was right before. It was either right before or right after Bosnia scored. Um, Bosnia had a couple chances at the start of the match, but after they did score that first one, it went pretty defensive. Teni Oluwase as well had some big misses, including potentially the goal line clearance of the tournament. Like last match, literally hit off his own crossbar and out. So that's how close Canada was to an extra 2 points out of that one. And you do have the Kyle Larin equalizer late on into the game. 3 minutes after coming on. I believe that was his first touch as well. You had Promise David getting involved in there. You had Ismail Kone as well for the entire game, was looking really good. My big takeaway from that 1-1 is that Canada definitely needs better finishing, a lot better finishing. We'll see against Qatar. They seem to like teams that can't really finish. That's where their whole game plan revolved around against Switzerland, but we'll get to that. The last game of day 2 of the World Cup was the USA 4, Paraguay 1 game, and a lot of Americans are saying, oh, yeah, because of that game, the U.S. now look like the best team in the tournament. They don't really. They were good. They were definitely incredible, and they are definitely one of those teams that I mentioned earlier, like the South Korea, that has that quality. They're just really, really fun to watch quality teams. And from those first 4 or so groups, they are potentially the best team out of that section of teams. But for me, Paraguay looked horrible. It was really, like, from their defense especially, it was a disaster class. I don't really know how they looked so horrible, considering their defense coming into the tournament was one of the things that was most talked about from them. That and the fitness of Julio Enciso, who, to his credit, got an assist, did some things today, but couldn't really make it work. Out of all the Paraguayan players, he was probably the best one of them. Christian Pulisic, I do not remember him ever playing like that. He looked on a different level. If he plays like that for the entire tournament, it is going to be a legacy month for him. It could be the most memorable month of his career. In fact, if he does continue playing like this in the U.S., do something great, it's definitely going to be the best month of his career. Next up, you've got Qatar, Switzerland, and looking at the possession here, you've got 70% for Switzerland, 30 for Qatar, 27 shots to 5, 10 shots on target to 3, 550 passes to 260. Switzerland took control of this game for the entire 90 minutes. Qatar did not have very many chances, and the chances they did have were not very high quality chances. It was just that amazing 94th minute header, own goal, whatever you want to call it. I think it should be kind of to the Qatari player who scored. I forget exactly which one it was, but massive missed opportunity for Switzerland is the real takeaway from that. Gets Group B literally completely even, exactly where we were at the start of this tournament. After the first match day, it'll be interesting. For my Canadians, it is advantageous, I believe. I'll have, just make sure the door's closed. I'll have to see, but I have to see. Look at the last couple of games. But if we can beat Qatar, then chances are we will be top going into the last game against Switzerland, and a draw there could actually send us top of the group. So there is a chance that we finish top of that group. Brazil, Morocco, in terms of the two teams playing, this was definitely the highest quality match that we've seen so far. Morocco in those first 30 minutes looked absolutely amazing. If they can continue playing like that, who is to say they couldn't win it? Who is to say that Morocco couldn't win it if they continue playing like that? Brazil, pretty much what we expected from them, to be honest, coming from the tournament. We knew that they weren't at that level that we're so used to them being in the past. One thing that really surprised me was how bad Igor Thiago was. He looked like he was running through mud for the majority of that game. Carlo Ancelotti, being Carlo Ancelotti, though, would not put on Endrick, would not put on Brian Vitor. He had Mateus Cunha come on for a 30-minute spell at the end of the match. But, man, Igor Thiago cannot continue playing games. Vinny with a beautiful goal to salvage a point for Brazil. Finished 1-1. And Vinny has been historically an underachiever for Brazil. This could be the month where it changes that narrative for sure. Last game of Saturday was Haiti against Scotland. John McGinn with the 1 goal. And for me, the big takeaway from that was Haiti, honestly. They looked pretty good. They looked a lot better than what we thought they would be coming into this tournament. They picked up a lot of chances against Scotland. They almost, on numerous occasions, almost got an equalizer. It's just sad for me that they couldn't end up doing that. Scotland ended up getting their first win in the World Cup since the 90s on the same night that the Knicks win the championship, which is a fun little quinky-dink. But anyway, there's actually one more game that Saturday, but it started at midnight for me, so it was technically on Sunday. Australia-Turkey. Man, Turkey dominated that game. Australia played the counterattack perfectly. It was similar to the Qatar-Switzerland game, but it felt like Australia really game planned that out more. That was really like more Australia taking it to Turkey. It wasn't really Australia taking it to Turkey. Turkey took it to Australia, but it felt like that was a lot more what the manager had been saying going into it, and it worked to pretty much perfection. Then you get Germany 7, Curaçao 1. I feel like we all were screaming when that Curaçao goal went in from Comenencia. And yes, that is the biggest moment that he is ever going to have, most likely. Just sorry to say, but I'm looking at Google says that they had Tahith Chong playing as a pivot midfielder with Leandro Bacuna, which is interesting considering that most of us ball knowers just remember him as a winger on United back in the day. But he was also Dutch back then, so people change. Thankfully, his hair didn't change. Germany, 7-1. Throw it back to 2014. Or throw it back to 2014. Don't throw it back. Actually, throw it back if you want. I don't care. I don't know how much we can really tell about them from that game, considering it is a country of 150,000 people. All power to Curaçao, though. They still got their goal against Germany. They're going to be bottom of the group, I'm afraid. Hopefully they can get a result against Ivory Coast or Ecuador just so they can have that moment out of this World Cup. I mean, maybe that goal was that moment. Who knows? Then we get to Netherlands, Japan. First half was just a news fest. Second half was World War II. It felt like Virgil van Dijk with a bullet header goal, Nakamura with a great goal a goal that I seem to forget. I know Somerville had that beautiful curled finish right before the cooling break, and then 89th minute, a header from Daichi Kamada on Van Dijk's head. I don't know how that happened. Just felt like Japan were uselessly putting ball after ball into the box with all the Denzel Dumfries, Jean-Paul Van Hek, Virgil van Dijk, and Mickey van de Ven, all as the Dutch back line. So I had no clue why Japan were putting balls in the box, but it ended up working. So I guess power to them. It's off my Barca boy, Frankie de Jong, as well. So fun all around. Ivory Coast, Ecuador. It was not a snooze fest at all. Despite being 0-0 until the 90th minute, it was a very, very fun game to watch. I had a lot of fun viewing it. I was talking to my co-host I was messaging my co-host on the full-time podcast, Abdullah, link in the description, throughout the entire game, and his United fan. I was hyping up Amad Diallo for the whole game. I had to humble him a little bit, but it actually ended up working out. Amad Diallo, big 55th minute goal. You subbed in 55th minute, 90th minute, beautiful goal, wins Ivory Coast the match. Ecuador is going to be feeling incredibly hard done by. I believe they hit the crossbar twice in that first half. Then Ivory Coast hit it once in the second half. But in general, that they are going to be feeling very hard done by. Then we come to what I believe is the highest scoring game of the tournament so far. And raise your hand if you thought it was going to be Sweden-Tunisia to be the first 6-goal game of this World Cup. Nobody's hands are raised. I know your hand isn't raised. I know your hand isn't raised. Yeah. Tunisia was just looking ridiculous for the whole game. I don't know what they were doing managerially. And actually, we'd come to one of the most interesting developments of the World Cup so far. The manager, Lamucci, was sacked yesterday after the game. The day after the mosquito. That's what happens when you record outside, man. I swear to God. The other manager was sacked after the game yesterday. Now they're bringing in Hervé Renard, that's a great appointment, man. I know we're all thinking about that just from that video of his halftime team talk with Saudi against Argentina in the last World Cup. Now I can definitely see him getting a result against the Netherlands. With that just incredible charisma. That is going to be a very fun watch. Now, I'm very intrigued to see how Tunisia responds to that, how Lamucci, how he does it. Sadly, though, their next game is going to be on Sunday at midnight. Or really, the end of next Saturday at midnight my time. So, fun. So we go then from the highest scoring in the tournament to the lowest. And hands up if you thought the first 0-0 was going to be Spain-Cape Verde. Your hand is not raised. I know your hand is not raised. Again, and this is, 74% possession, 23 shots to 6, 8 shots on target to 1, 760 passes to 270. This was a full-on annihilation from Spain of Cape Verde. Pedri put on a masterclass in midfield, like he always does. He was the engine to everything Spain was doing, him and Rodri. But as a Barca fan, we know what Ferran Torres is about. As a La Liga fan, Mikel Oyarzabal, I'm disappointed, to be honest. I thought we would be seeing better from him, but especially a guy like Ferran Torres, like, we know what he does, and he doesn't do it very well, sadly. Even Nico Williams cameo coming on off the bench, and Nico Williams coming on off the bench wasn't enough. I don't know why De La Fuente waited until the 86th minute to put on Nico Williams. I don't know why he waited until the 70th for Yamal or the 80th for Dani Olmo, but it was Vozinha with, what I have to say, potentially the best overall performance of anyone so far this World Cup. That was an amazing display in goal from the 40-year-old in goal. And Cape Verde with the biggest result in their country's history right there. Amazing stuff. Then you get to Belgium, Egypt. And I have to say, this is going to be another disappointing tournament for Belgium. We all knew it going into this, but I didn't think they would have trouble against this genuinely incredibly easy group that they were drawn into. This game should have been an easy win for Belgium, honestly. Like, Egypt has the top end talent, but after that, it's just nothing, man. You've got Mohamed Salah, you've got Omar Marmoush, Imam Ashour stepping up his game for it, but other than that, you've got Hamza Abdelkarim coming off the bench, who wasn't even good enough to play for the B team last year. He wasn't even good enough to play for Barcelona's B team. In the 6 months coming into the tournament, he's actually contracted with the U19s of Barcelona on loan. He was at the U17 World Cup last winter, and now he's at the World Cup. He actually was performing pretty well, but it just goes to show this is what Egypt's depth is going into this tournament. It's sad. And then for Belgium, coming to the rescue, big Rom Lukaku. I'm speaking for all of us when I am saying we want to see Romelu Lukaku be the hero of Belgium this summer. After last World Cup, after that stinker against Croatia that I do have a video making fun of on my channel from 4 years ago. I feel bad. I'm sorry, Rom, but it's a deserved making fun of. He was horrible. But that doesn't mean that I don't want to see him succeed, and I want to see him do well. I want to see him continue being like this, continue being the hero for Belgium. Who was starting at striker for Belgium? Was it the way they had Charles de Ketelaere starting over? Yeah, they had Charles de Ketelaere starting a striker for Belgium over Big Rom. That's how far his stock has fallen. He can get over de Ketelaere. He should be starting, I think, for the next game against Iran. But we'll get to Iran soon. Saudi versus Uruguay. As well as the Spain-Cape Verde game. I wasn't really able to watch this. I had to do refereeing in a soccer league 20 minutes from where I live. So I wasn't really able to watch this. It was 1-1. Looking at the stats, Uruguay was a dominant team, 27 shots to 7, 65% possession. Looks like it was Mohamed Al-Lawais, who always has one World Cup banger, it seems. Always has one World Cup insane performance. And Saudi Arabia once again get a result on the first match day of the World Cup. Final game, Iran versus New Zealand. This one has the potential to be the best game of the tournament so far. This game, for those who stayed up to watch it, might potentially be the best advert for the 48-team World Cup that there is possible to be. I was like many others when I was skeptical of it, and I have turned out to be wrong. It's turned out to be an amazing concept, an amazing idea, because you see these two teams, Iran and New Zealand, in previous World Cups, they would not be allowed to play as openly and as free as they did last night. End-to-end action. It was 17 shots to 13, 30 shots across between both the sides, 53 to 47% possession, 420 passes to 390. Such an even game. A draw was the very deserved result of that game. Elijah Just, who I did see, not to brag, but I did see in person at BMO Field when his New Zealand played Ukraine back in June of last year in a friendly, but I'm not bragging. I don't mean to brag or anything. I just got 2 goals. Chris Wood got both of the assists. This New Zealand team is looking very nice, very fun to watch, and same with the Iran team. The only thing for me, Mehdi Taremi needs to step up. He really is the king of the Iran national team, and we didn't really see anything great from him in this game, so we need to see more stepping up from him. All right, other than that, that is it for all of the World Cup that's taken place so far. We've got France versus Senegal at 3 today, so that's in less than an hour now. Iraq versus Norway, Argentina, Algeria, and then Austria, Jordan, starting at the big midnight. And I have an exam tomorrow, so that'll be the first game of the World Cup that I'm not going to be able to watch at all. So sad about that, but that's the one game I'm not going to be able to watch. One game. After that, I'm good for everything, I think. All right. See you soon. Hopefully more frequent uploads about World Cup shenanigans. Bye.